Let's try it again. Line number one, say good morning to the Conservative Party Member of Parliament for Sherwood Park for Saskatchewan, out in Alberta. That's Garnett Genuis. Oh, he's also the Shadow Minister for Employment. Good morning, Garnett. You're on the air.
Good morning. Great to be with you. Hopefully the line works this time.
Much better. I appreciate your patience. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to be with you.
Where would you like to start? Because I obviously have a few questions.
Well, yeah, so I'm in St. John's here in Newfoundland today and having some great meetings talking about the job situation. We're facing an unemployment crisis across the country, particularly affecting young people. The national unemployment rate for youth is over 14%. It's over 17% here in Newfoundland. You've got overall the highest unemployment rate in the country. So I'm talking to people here, understanding what the challenges and the needs are, what we can do at the national level to address this. We put forward a motion at a parliamentary committee right before the summer break to have a summer study of youth unemployment. We wanted that committee to be able to work through the summer, and unfortunately, Liberals said no. Liberals shut down the meeting and blocked having a summer study on youth unemployment. But we're still doing the work on our own outside of the committee. So concerned about the impact of high unemployment on young people, and trying to understand from businesses, others here in Newfoundland, what they're looking for from the national government to address this.
Are you pointing, or is the party pointing their finger at specific issues as to why the youth unemployment numbers are what they are? And they're even worse for men than they are for women, I will acknowledge that. So are we looking at root causes that you'd like to discuss?
Well, absolutely. I think I would identify two areas of policy. One is economic policies of the federal government that have deterred investment and made it harder for businesses to start and grow and create opportunities for young people. So that's one issue. And another issue is immigration policy. It's not the whole picture, but it's certainly part of the picture. Immigrants have contributed so much to this country, but the levels, especially of temporary immigration, have been too high in this country in recent years under the Liberals. So we need to recalibrate that and have better alignment between where there actually are needs and skill gaps. So we're pushing for policy changes to unleash economic opportunity across this country, and we're pushing for the government to get a handle on an immigration system that they have frankly broken in the last few years.
Yeah, the system hasn't changed, the numbers have. Now, of course, the Liberals have indeed dramatically cut immigration numbers or targets, whether it be international students or permanent residents and the like. And some of that problem also lies in the private sector, I would suggest, Mr. Genuis. I'll get your perspective on this. When we talk about temporary foreign workers, number one, there's a huge misunderstanding in the country that there's some sort of wage subsidy from the federal government. There's not. And number two, some private companies, and we know this to be true, is that they've used fake labour market impact assessments to get approvals for immigrants to come in on a temporary basis. So as much as government policy has created a problem, it's been exacerbated by some companies operating in bad faith. Your thoughts?
Yeah, let me respond to that. So first of all, temporary immigration numbers have been too high. They've continued to be too high, and I do want to highlight that it's across different programs. So temporary immigration numbers is not just the TFW program. No. There's a labor market assessment process in the context of the TFW program. You're right to point out that there's been abuse, and I'll come back to that. But there are other kinds of temporary immigration streams where there's no labor market assessment at all, and that's been a huge problem. So we've said the numbers need to come down. So when it comes to the TFW program, you're right. There has been a real increase in LMIA fraud and other kinds of abuse of that. But look, the government's responsible for policing and administering their program. So we've got to hold people accountable who are responsible for this fraud. But it's the government's responsibility to do integrity checks and actually combat abuses of the system. Right now, the way the process works is businesses have to advertise to see if they can hire someone locally first. But there's been a lot of cases of abuse of that, and certainly this is something Conservatives have been pursuing. Increasing crime in general in the country and LMIA fraud. So look, the government has allowed an increase in temporary immigration across different categories and LMIA abuse to occur and increase.
I think the point I was attempting to make is because of whether it be the government policy itself, immigration targets. We know there's like 4 or 5 different silos of immigration numbers here in this country, and then you add in the private sector abuse or fraudulent use of the labor market impact assessment. What that has resulted in is people not being mad at the companies, people not being mad at the government, people being mad at the immigrant. And I think that sentiment is pretty well held right across the country. And I'm not suggesting me or you or Dave Williams, who you spoke to earlier, is part of that. But we can sense it. We can smell it. We can hear it. We can feel it. And so that's where I would hope into the future, including at election cycles, is that we focus in on what contributes to these issues versus the person who all of a sudden we think they came here to steal my job. When that's not really why anybody came here. If you came here as a targeted, skilled person for one specific job or another, that's a different conversation. But the way we talk about immigration here has been sidetracked or hijacked or whatever the right phrase is, because we're not talking about the policies necessarily. We're not talking about the private sector. We're talking about the immigrant himself. And I think that makes it very problematic politically and societally.
Yeah, here would be my take on it. So I don't blame anyone for wanting to come to Canada.
No.
This is a beautiful country. It's a great place to live, and especially for people that are living in poverty in other parts of the world, absolutely understand their desire to come here. And there's more people who want to come here and want to come and work than our country can realistically accommodate, and we have to be prudent around that. So while affirming the contribution that newcomers have made, we also have to hold the government accountable for how they've managed the system. And I would say that the problem is when the government isn't doing enforcement properly around the LMIA fraud specifically, then you get bad actors, and then people start to see, well, there's just not enforcement. There's not policing of these rules. The rules might be on paper around what you're supposed to do, but there's not proper enforcement. So Liberals have really broken our immigration system. And I think you're right to point out how that has affected public sentiment. When I was first elected in 2015, there was just a lot of consensus around immigration because the system had been well managed in the previous period. Really, it had been there had been a consensus for decades around a lot of aspects of immigration policy, but now there's a lot of frustration, and I think the Liberal government that broke the immigration system needs to be held accountable. And look, the jobs issue, it's not just immigration. There's also economic policies that we need to talk about that have in the past under this current government really discouraged investment. So we also need to we need policy changes that allows business and economic growth, but immigration certainly is part of the picture, and the government is responsible for that.
The numbers grew too quick, too fast. We weren't prepared. Even ask an immigrant. They didn't come here to not be able to get a home. They didn't come here to not be able to see the doctor. So, surveys of immigrants point out the same thing. Immigration in the broad scope is healthy and required. In this province, the aging demographic demands it. The death rate has outpaced the birth rate for years and years and years here. So that's my last thought on it. Oh, actually, one more. It's interesting when you look at it big picture, because here from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, consumer spending is up in this country, but per individual, it's down. So they're quite concerned that any curtail of immigration numbers necessarily is actually good for the economy. And that's not for me. That's from Dan Kelly at the CFIB. So interesting points to factor into an already hugely complicated issue, whether it be the political divisiveness that comes from it and or economic impact, healthcare, housing, and all the rest of it. It's a fascinating conversation that I'm happy that we're having this morning. Anything else on that front? Because I do have... I'm sorry?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I'll just say my focus as the employment person for our party is to think about those young people who cannot find jobs. And there are a lot of different factors, skills training, getting to where the jobs are, the availability of jobs in general, and opportunity growth. And you've got an aging population here, but you also have high youth unemployment. And so figuring out how to connect youth with those job opportunities, part of it is encouraging investment and economic growth here in general, as well as just getting those policies calibrated right around immigration to make sure they align with what is our national interest.
I'm hoping for jobs for youth because I'm the father of two of those people, of that demographic. Very quickly before I let you go, give me an example of one policy that would reinvigorate investment, which flees and ebbs and flows for a variety of reasons, whether it be the Inflation Reduction Act in the United States, whether it be with some policies in this country, whether it be with tax rates more favorable elsewhere, those types of things. So give me an example of one policy that would trigger or spur on further economic growth, of which we absolutely dire straits in need of.
Yeah, so let me focus on one issue that I know we in Alberta and you here in Newfoundland have in common, and that is recognizing the importance of the energy economy. Liberal policies, production cap, Bill C-69, various other anti-energy policies that the Liberal government has put in place have really deterred investment and held back opportunities that would have and if changed could still create economic opportunities in my province and here in Newfoundland. We've got so much in common between the West and the East in terms of that appreciation of the value of energy. And one of the things we're highlighting in Parliament is that the best way to get major projects done, a critical step is repealing Bill C-69 that makes it very difficult for major projects to move forward. So that would be one area I would zero in on as important to both of our provinces.
Interestingly, probably the largest oil field in this province's history and the possibility of is Bay du Nord, green lit. They can't make a final business investment decision. And just help me square this circle. You know, in your province, investment in the oil sands is up. Record production, record revenue, record profit. You know, brand new twinning of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, Kitimat up and running, LNG Canada Phase 2 approved but not being acted upon. So there's a lot of action in our energy sector. And even if Bill C-69, which, you know, the industry likes regulatory certainty, number one. So, but with the things that are advancing at pretty impressive numbers in your province, outside of 69, what's actually anti-energy policy?
Well, so outside of Bill C-69 is a big caveat, and look, we've got a provincial government, other leaders that are trying in my province, but Bill C-69 is critical. It's critical to repeal it. It impedes transportation around energy as well. So I think that's just so central, and it's important out here as well. But production caps. The other thing is just this
it's an emissions cap
question around the hidden the hidden carbon tax, right? So the Liberals with great fanfare said they were getting rid of the consumer carbon tax that they had initially imposed, but they continue to support an industrial carbon tax, and Mark Carney deeply believes in the carbon tax, and I think pretty clearly is going to try to find ways of imposing more costs on consumers indirectly in ways that are not as sort of publicly visible as the consumer carbon tax, the direct consumer carbon tax was. But we're going to continue to see these costs imposed, and that's going to hit our energy sector particularly, and that will have big implications for employment. Conservatives are calling for the repeal of the industrial carbon tax as well. We've been clear and consistent, always opposing carbon tax policies, whether they're visible and direct, or whether they're indirect carbon taxes that you still have to pay but can't see.
Yeah, that's the recent history. But carbon tax, price on carbon, those types of things was a conservative piece, was a conservative policy. The market and having the market adjust to reflect the economy and business needs and wants was pretty much a conservative thing for a long, long time. And I know that you know that, and we needn't belabor that point. I'm late for the news.
Well,
what?
Okay.
And you're welcome to come back on.
Agree to disagree on that, but I appreciate the Conservative Party of Canada has always been very consistent on the issue of the carbon tax.
I welcome you back when we uncover things like that might add to the cost for consumers, whether it be energy industry related or not, and I appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks for having me on, sir.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. As Garnett Genuis, he's the CPC member out in Alberta for Saskatchewan. Yeah, let's take a break. Don't go away.